All right. We are live right now. So, welcome to the Truth Be Told show.
Hey,
What's
hey, hey.
going on? It's fellas, you there?
Hey, what's up? How you doing, man? I'm pretty excited. Hey, listen, did any one of you all listen to John Yaw, the way that what's his name hooked that show up and put John Yaw out there, putting it out there, man? John Yaw dropped it like it was hot, man. I,
What you talking about?
I'm talking about with what uh,
Sharama together.
Shama did to the show and edited the show. You haven't
Oh,
seen it?
oh no, the edit from last week? No, I haven't
Yeah.
seen it yet.
Oh man. Oh dog. If you seen it, you be talking about we gonna have to talk about it a little bit. It is
Okay,
very
well,
good.
I tell you what, let's we might have to talk about it a little bit. But for
No,
right
you
now,
need
y'all ready to
to.
start the show?
Let's do it, man. We need to. You
Okay,
got to,
let's
bro.
go. It's the Truth Be Told show, y'all.
All right, cue the music.
Cue music.
Start the music.
Starting music.
And go.
It's the Truth Be Told show, where we place America first, honoring those who America has forgotten. Listen in and unlearn to relearn as we set the record straight. And now, your host of the Truth Be Told show, Mr. Just Ask Joe and Uncle Nishorn.
All right. We are here. It is another week, another episode of the Truth Be Told show, folks. It is Tuesday, July 19, 2022. And guess what? You will never, ever in your life see Tuesday, July 19, 2022 ever again. So guess what? You better make it a great day because you only get one of these. Okay? You only get one July 19th, 2022. All right, so you better make it a great day. Folks, we got a great show lined up for you today. Today's theme is America Too Free? Folks, do we have too many liberties here in America? And we're going to discuss that on today's show. But first, let's talk local. What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
Hey, how you doing, man? I'm feeling pretty good, man. I'm feeling pretty good.
How was your week?
Hey, well, it's just Tuesday, so coming out of the weekend and everything, it's doing pretty good. I got my dad and my probably my future mother-in-law.
That's right. Your dad's gonna be here with us, and I heard he brought his queen with him to town. Yeah. So he's in town visiting, right?
Yeah. So we're gonna hang out and everything. You know, we're thinking about taking them down to Buc-ee's and everything. Y'all haven't seen Buc-ee's yet. You know, that's something that we're gonna have to talk about another time and everything. But the Buc-ee's down in Richmond, Kentucky. Have you heard of it? Have you?
Oh yeah. Well, I seen that, and I didn't understand. It looked like a gas station.
It is, but it's the largest gas station you ever want to go to.
Okay, is it what they got a restaurant in there?
Man, they got food. It's off the hook, bro. It's just off the hook. Okay. It's coming out of Texas and everything. So I'm thinking about taking them up there. That's something you need to take you and your lady up there, Peter. Y'all need to go we need to make a trip of it.
Better days with Peter Hayes. How you doing, man?
I am totally blessed.
Totally blessed. You're not under blessed in any way, but in all areas you are totally blessed. That's absolutely
right. Yeah, and actually, what you said about this is the only Tuesday that will never come. I think that hit me, and you know, if all of us humans would look at each day as like, hey, this may be my last day on earth, how much more productive and positive would we be? You know, you got people literally melt away with days and weeks and years doing nothing, stagnating and just really kind of depressed on life. But if we all realize that this could be our last day, hour, how much excitement would we live our life in?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, if you lived it like it was your last days, then I tell you what, um, you know, speaking of last days, we had a recent shooting here at Shawnee Park during the Dirt Bowl, and it was a police shooting, right? And some people are up in arms, but I don't know. I don't think I hear the outcry that we have heard or would hear, let's say for a Breonna Taylor situation. And I hope we don't hear the outcry because, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, dude was a dirtbag. And, if someone ends up at the hospital with a pillow finishing the job, then, I wouldn't be surprised. But that's just me.
Hey,
I
I
say
need
stuff
you to
like that.
explain that, man, for those people that don't understand, because when you're saying he was a douchebag, you saying that
No,
he was just
dirtbag.
a
He was a
dirtbag,
dirtbag, meaning
dirtbag,
this dude, this was the guy who ran over, like, killed 4 kids in 2008. He ran over them or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Do you remember, Peter? Was it a bus stop or what?
No, he was driving under the influence, and he crashed into this car and killed 3 or 4 young teenagers.
And
wow,
three of them were siblings.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
They were 3 of 4 siblings that died. So now there's one sibling left that has to bear the burden of, man, I should have been with them, or I should have went too. That and I've seen that, and I know how that goes, and that's a tough road ahead for that person. It's been 12 years since then, right? So you know more than
Yeah,
12 years, but
what's interesting, and Misha, you may remember this. So the three of the youth, they went to they went to the community center there as with Youth Alive, and they went in Youth Alive, which was a nonprofit
Right.
organization, van, and then the person in charge allowed them to go home with someone else, a young guy,
Is
young
this that
person.
same story?
Yeah, that and
yeah,
so and which was a no-no, because if you go in a Youth Alive van, you need to go back for liability. Anyway, what happened was he agreed to let these 3 boys go with another young teen who was kind of messed up. And anyway, they got in an accident, and that ended up destroying that whole Youth Alive
I
organization. Had to go
story.
bankrupt.
I realize that this is that story. That's the
So
story. Uh,
yeah. So understand that there was that incident back then in
Herbert Lee.
2008.
His name is Herbert Lee.
Herbert Lee. And then since then, and it was said that he smirked and almost laughed at the incident back in 2008. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what it has been said. Along with that, right? Then since then, this guy has just committed more felonies. I think there was a held at gunpoint robbery incident.
Yeah.
Since then. Now, here's the thing, and I've been in conversation with people. God's Lives Matter says every life has infinite value. I say that at this point, this dude's a dirtbag and he ain't got no value. That's me. That's me. I'm sure God would disagree because he's like, no, dog, I made this right here. That's one of mine. I made that. I put a little bit too much extra salt in that one, but I made it nonetheless. So it's perfectly imperfect. Right. But man, I find that one hard. What y'all think?
hey,
It,
let's
re-
evaluate. Let's talk about it. So recently, he's just the same guy. So let's talk about
same
him.
guy. Dirt
Same
Bowl.
guy. So the story is that, and I went back and listened to it a little bit. The story is that they saw this guy. This guy had some warrants on him. Okay,
Yep.
so
He had several warrants
warrants.
on him.
Okay,
Warrants out there. All right. So
so
they
they
want this dude. They want him.
They identified him. But they immediately, I heard, they didn't go after him immediately.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. They waited.
They waited. So they held back. Okay. And they paid attention. Okay. What was going on? And then they started to approach him. And as they was approaching him,
when the Dirt Bowl, I believe, was supposedly over, but there were still people out there.
It was still
people. So a lot of people
Right.
are saying that they should not have pursued during that time. Blah 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 blah. Man, you know, I get that, but I think
Well,
they went after him when he was in a different space
right.
of the Dirt Bowl. But then what happened was he ran back as they chased him, ran back towards the crowd or whatever, towards that area. And then, you know, a barrage of bullets came at him. Now, fortunately, no one else was hurt. I think an officer got shot. And if Herbert Lee was able to run and shoot and turn his backpack, because that was seen on camera, turn his backpack from his back to his front, pull out a gun and shoot an officer across the way, across the field, then that dude right there, they need to sign him up to the CIA or something, because he's a straight shooter or a dang on lucky shot. All right, I'm gonna say that. But nonetheless, one officer got shot in the vest through his cell phone. And so that's the only issues, casualties we had, other than him getting shot up a bunch of times or whatever. Maybe after getting shot so many times, he'll come out and be a rapper or something like that. You know, that's the MO, right? You know, I got shot 9 times. But nonetheless, what do y'all think? Was it a proper shooting at the Dirt Bowl? Can the Dirt Bowl be held without police presence? Because every year almost it seems to be some type of incident, or if it's not, there's the shadow of incidences in prior years that hang over the Dirt Bowl.
Hey, I'm just getting sick and tired every time. You know, I was at an event yesterday. I was at an event last night. You know, get out and vote. Okay, and I brought up adult social emotional learning. I'm just sick and tired that every time an incident show up and the behavior of the individual, their behavior is just off the book. Now, this guy you just got to talking about, okay? But if anybody do anything, and it doesn't seem appropriate, the first thing our community does is foul ball. You know, oh, look at what happened to me. Oh, look what they did and everything. When are we as a community going to take some social responsibility that sometimes when you do certain things, there's a reaction to it, and everybody deserves the right to protect themselves. Do you follow where I'm going with this? You know, when are we going to learn how to take some responsibility on our own behavior?
Hey, and Peter, you can jump in after this, but you know when we will take responsibility? We will take responsibility when we start taking certain things and cultural things in our community and flip them and do a 180. So, for instance, I propose let's start making t-shirts that say, don't mess with my property value with your crime-ridden ass. Make a t-shirt about that. We need to take the whole snitching thing and turn it around. Oh, I'm gonna tell. See, let me tell you something. And I done lived in the West End in a few different places, 21st in Madison, 24th in Chestnut. Let me tell you something. I will tell. Okay, I will tell. Why do I tell? Because if I own property here, you are messing with my pockets. You're messing with my money. I don't know no person, because we culturally run around talking all the time. Hey, don't be messing with my money, dog. Guess what? When you let that fool down the street do that foolish stuff and you don't say, hey, he right there, go get him. Guess what? You mess with your property value. You're messing with your money for generations to come. So get to that point. You want to talk about not messing with your money? Guess what? That's one way to do it. So we need to flip the whole snitching thing. That's the first thing. And let's do t-shirts. T-shirts that say, I will tell on your monkey ass. Maybe we shouldn't put
and we need to, and since you done brought that up, we need to also speak in truth. I am not a criminal, so don't associate the word snitch on me if I tell on you. And I told someone, and we was at a community meeting when it was brothers helping brothers way back in James Linton, and all these guys was there talking about, man, a snitch. I don't like a snitch and everything. And I stood up. I said, look at here, brother. Let me explain something to you. Don't use that criminal.
I can't believe a grown man would say that.
Yeah. I said, let me. Yeah. Grown man gonna stand up and say, I said, listen, let me explain something to you. I don't identify me as a snitch if you and I did not participate in something and both of us got caught and I'm telling on you. That's not what this is here. No, if you rob, you come in or you do something in my community and I notice it as I am a citizen in my community. This ain't snitching, buddy. It ain't snitching at all.
Hey,
I'm telling on you because you're doing some wrong.
Before we go to commercial break, Peter, I got to get you in there, man. What do you think, man? What would be a way to get to the point to where, culturally we change this attitude, this mindset of, because let's think about it. 2008, 2018, 22. So that's 14 years, right? That the community has more or less hid this guy. Let's just say that.
Embraced him.
Hid this guy. Because some of y'all know good and well seen the fool. You know what he did. You know what he's responsible for. You know the nonsense, but you ain't said nothing. Why are we not dealing with it ourselves? When we can change that culture, then we can actually go in, and then it's going to be okay for you to go and bust dude in his face and say, calm your ass down or else. Right? So we can handle things ourselves. But go ahead, Peter, please, speak.
Yeah, I think, and it's interesting now that Misha mentioned the snitching. I don't hear that from any other community. Do you? I mean, I only hear it from kind of the hood rat community, in the inner city. I don't hear Asians or European Americans or other groups talking about, snitching is such a bad thing. Everyone else is kind of working within the system, but there is an underclass, a criminal underclass, which our friend Talib Starks out of Philadelphia mentioned. It is a growing underclass, and it has a different culture than the American descendant slave traditional culture of being a good person, good community leader. It's a criminal, hood rat, gangster culture, and it's very acceptable, and it's too acceptable. I'll put it that way. Because how could Herbert Lee, for 10 years, and I was just reading the article, so he was arraigned and he was complaining. He didn't, he still was hurting, and the judge asked him, "Are you going to get a lawyer?" He said, "Yeah, they wouldn't let me call my lawyer." So he's got enough money to get his own lawyer rather than legal aid. So where's he getting this money from? Obviously, he's
well, let's not say that, because who's to say that his lawyer isn't legal aid? And
well, he didn't say that though, because he said, "I got my own attorney that I'm going to."
Okay, got you.
He was complaining that they wouldn't let him call his own attorney, but
you know what I say for dudes like that? When you've terrorized a community as such, take dude and drop him off in Afghanistan. Drop him. A lot of these thugs, a lot of these wannabes, I done been there. We all, grew up culturally thinking we was bigger, badder than we actually were. A lot of that cultural mindset, take those, drop them off in a third world country. You know what I mean? Let them live there. So then they realize how great they had it here. Right. But go live in Afghanistan, drop them off right in Taliban territory.
And
You know what I mean? And let
and
them fend out there.
Yeah.
That should be some punishment.
So
wouldn't last
is
very
America
long.
too free? I mean, basically the title
That's-
of our conversation.
This is one of the
America too
things
free.
that makes me start to think about it is, are we too free? Do we have too many liberties? You know, because it seems like every year things get worse and worse as far as what is allowed on TV. You know, more cuss words allowed on TV, more of this, you know, stuff that we didn't see years before. And then crime just keeps getting worse. No matter who you elect, wherever, it just keeps getting worse. So are we too free? What y'all think?
So I thought about this morning, hit me. I've been dealing it because I think we have to clarify these terms because freedom is a good thing. Liberty, what we're talking about is licentiousness, because
Yeah.
freedom without responsibility is licentiousness. So I think, you know, do we have too much? We don't have too much freedom because freedom is neutral, you know, and liberty is a good thing. Liberty means you're a bona fide citizen, you know, doing good thing. I think what we're talking
Free from
about
oppression.
hedonism or licentiousness, because and I came up with this explanation. I think it's pretty good. Freedom without responsibility is licentiousness. So what
Yeah.
we're saying is hedonism, licentiousness. You know, because you know we're created free by our Creator so that we can fulfill our purpose in life. And American government, as we talked about last week, definitely is not perfect, but we maximize freedom because we don't want the government restricting us. But freedom and even rights, you think the Bill of Rights, righteous comes from righteousness. So we're free to be righteous, but we're not free to be unrighteous. But our culture is moving more and more away from freedom and liberty to hedonism and licentiousness. And it's acceptable now in big parts of the
Hey.
culture.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to jump to commercial, but when we come back, is the root cause of violence social economic culture or racism? That and more when we come back right here on Truth Be Told Show, y'all.
Thank you, Truth Be Told, for allowing God's Lives Matter to be a sponsor. Wearable products, as the purple t-shirt, is bearing witness. Every life created by God has infinite value. Visit God'sLivesMatter.com.
I don't need to sit at your table. We building one. We in the process of building a table. We building a table. I don't gotta sit at your table. I'm building my own table, and I will build you a table in the presence of your enemies.
Habibi Trading Company, home of soap, sticks, and Saya Baba products. Over 400 locations at a store near you. Cincinnati, Ohio, Louisville and Lexington, Kentucky, Southern Indiana, or find yours online at sayababa.com. Again, that's sayababa.com. Habibi Trading Company, where you can find fragrances to incite your senses.
Hey folks, check out HealthDaddyWow.net. 100% plant-based herbs and supplements. Whether you're in person or online, use the word tipping for 10% off. Remember, feel better, look great, HealthDaddyWow.net. Remember, HealthDaddyWow.net.
All right, cue the music.
Cue music.
Start the music.
Starting music.
And go.
It's the Truth Be Told show, where we place America first, honoring those who America has forgotten. Listen in and unlearn to relearn as we set the record straight. And now, your host of the Truth Be Told show, Mr. Just Ask Joe and Uncle Mishorn.
All right, folks, we're back here at the Truth Be Told show, and we're talking, is America too free? Is the root cause of violence social, economic, culture, or racism? What say you, fellas?
Hey, man, this conversation is, I'm 61 years old. And I went to the Get Out and Vote meeting yesterday, and this is an ongoing conversation. Who's going to be our next mayor? And here we are still talking about things that seem like we should have put to rest, and we haven't put it to rest. It's a problem that I believe that And Peter said that's why I think that show. If y'all haven't listened to last week's show, Peter, did you listen to it?
No, I didn't listen to the excerpt yet.
Boy, I tell you. Yeah. We got a problem, man. We have not put to rest issues that should have been put to rest sometime. And I think it has to do, I'm confident, I'm not even going to claim like it. I believe it's because our demographics of men culturally have not been involved. And now that we're just now starting to wake up and start calling things out. Now you have people trying to tell us to be quiet. Okay, it's been 400 years, 150 years. Haven't y'all got over yourself yet? Okay, if you go back and listen to what John Yah was talking about, that's why. Yeah, we got problems with the social. We're just now learning how to be free and learning how to operate and navigate in America as grown as men. Like all the other culture men, but anybody who were European persuasion, they walked around with their balls dropped for years. And I said this before. I believe President Trump election. I mean, I know if Marcus was on, he would not like what I'm about to say. I believe President Trump allowed all those who was in the Democratic Party, okay, male types, okay, heterosexuals to drop their balls. Okay. And I believe that the reason why we're going through what we're going through, okay, is that we got a whole lot of men, young males and everything trying to find their way, and they still upset. They're just upset about what's going on. And they they have nobody telling them, have no adults, no elders, and like my father. I would go with my father in this conversation, have not helped in that situation.
Mishorn, let's show an example. All right, let's have an example.
Like I give you an example. If I was to ask you, are you rich? And how do you feel by thinking that you're rich? Ask yourself a question. Am I rich? Am I wealthy? How does that make you feel? Does that make you feel good or bad? This is how you identify the shadow. Because if you feel bad about having abundance, that you don't think you have abundance, where did you get that information from? That's called shadow. You have to learn where you got that from so that you don't learn, but so that you can stop continuing the same lifestyle narrative of what you believe in. But if you change your mindset, it doesn't mean racism ain't going on, but it's not in my dimension. If it's not in my dimension, then it will not hinder me from achieving my goal.
Amen.
Okay.
One thing known for the ADS is the reliance on a belief that God was liberating them. And, the civil rights movement, Dr. King was a Christian spiritual movement. So, yeah, I think probably one of the biggest problems is we've gotten away from that. And now it's more of a secular humanist.
Good point. Good point.
And it's no longer a God-centered effort, and that's across the board in America.
So what you guys think so far?
Hey, the whole
as we look at last week's show and you look at you know, what we're talking about now. What role does privilege play? The root cause of violence being social, economic, culture, or racism, and then looking at this excerpt from last week. You know, what's on your mind, Michon?
What's on my mind is that John Yah is talking about, and I don't want to speak specifically how John Yah is 60. He's 60 years old, like I am. Okay, so he's specifically talking about, and when he goes on, he said our healing need to come at our expense, not based on the dominant European culture telling us, "Aren't you healed yet?" It's been all this time. What he's talking about, that we literally have to. We got to get a handle on what it is, how we're walking, okay, and how we need to do it. And we need to take leadership in that, okay? We need to make that thing happen and everything. But the process needs to be allow it to happen, okay? Not be, get over it, you ain't, let's not talk about it and everything. Until we're willing to, until the dominant European culture is willing to allow us to go through what we need to be going through, because I believe 60 and older, our men are just now really starting to understand. And it's a process, Peter. What you think, man? It's a process for us to really get.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's valid point. I mean, it's across the board in America. We need the men of America to man up, and the women to women up. It's that simple. And we're getting away from, even under, I mean, like I said last week, the history of the Central American slave America is an incredible one of triumph and victory. And before the community kind of sold out to the Democrat Party and this alternative lifestyle, they were doing very, very well under the worst situations of Jim Crow, oppression. And just think about it. Your ancestors are great, great heroes. And what has happened in the last 60 years is you guys, not you guys in particular, but the community has said, no, we reject hard work and effort and education. And now we're going with a different culture. The boogie woogie, get high, get drunk, fornication. Not everyone, but that's that underclass that Talib starts in his book. And it's very, as you know, you met him and we had him on the Focus show. I mean, his title of his books is Blacks versus the N-word, and it's he called it, the uncivil war. So he said there's an uncivil war, not a civil war, uncivil war, blacks versus, we can say, it's the name of his book, Blacks versus Niggers. And he came to Louisville and spoke, and then Michon had him on the Focus show a couple
times. You're gonna get us kicked off again, Peter.
Well, good thing. Yeah, that's right. But anyway, that's the title of his book, and he outlines one very interesting point that he brings up. And Talib works with inner city troubled youth in Philadelphia, so he's an awesome brother. We hope to have him on sometime. But he, one thing he noticed in his book is that every community has their dysfunctional. We got white trash or Hispanic trash, Asian trash. What he brought out is that the descendant American slave African American community is the only community that sticks up for its garbage, and glorifies its garbage.
Yeah, I think that's the better way to look at, that the ADOS community, the melanated community in America glorifies the worst of its worth. The European community sweeps it under the rug and tries to hide it, push it back behind curtains, and tries to keep people from seeing it, keep their own family from seeing it.
Yeah, exactly. He mentioned that when they have picnics, they don't invite the white trash or the Asian trash, or they don't invite them to the family gathering.
Black sheep of the family don't get invited.
It's for decent people. But in ADOS, we don't even call it ADOS, and he called it the Black community, but it's celebrated and it's defended. Look at this shooting. This is a good example. The brother who's over the dirt ball, and the DAS brother that I know, he said, hey, this was kosher. Okay, this was cool. The police waited. We can't do without the police. Well, what you had a couple of these activists come out of nowhere. I didn't even know any of them, but they were hooping, hollering, and saying, "Well, they shouldn't have shot it 12 times." So who else would defend that? I can't. There's no other community. Everyone else, as you said, Joe, would have said, "Yeah, I wish they had killed the son of a bitch." Really.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in conversations seeing people trying to say, okay, he did what he did, but he didn't deserve to, be gunned down that way. He didn't deserve. Dude, when you go out and you commit the type of foulness that a person like that commits, guess what? You deserve everything that comes to you because that's the energy that you brought. That's the energy that you brought on yourself. That's the vibration that you're that you're putting out there. So understand, you brought all that energy on yourself, whatever comes with it. So don't sit there and try to defend. We need to stop that. That's a cultural thing. We need to stop it. Now, let's understand something. We know how it got started. So that's not the conversation. We know that even when it comes to music, that the European community looked back and said, "Ooh, we can make some money off these niggas," and we're gonna take these drug pushes and we're gonna put them on the radio. We're gonna glorify that and let them, hey, talk about it. Tell us about your life. Tell us what you've been through, and we know that, but it's time to step away from that and say, you know what? I'm grown up now. I mean, hell, LL Cool J has a partnership with Walmart with his wife for her jewelry collection. He's over there cheesing on Walmart advertisements and whatnot, dude. I mean, that was LL Cool J back in the day. You know what I mean? He was a bad boy. You know what I mean? Arrested, this, that, and the other, dealing with the police, all of that. So if as you can see, people grow out of that. People mature. There's a lot of us that are not maturing mentally.
And here's what I run into, because when I talk to everyday ADOS folks, they agree with this, but there's a reluctance, and it's due to part of our topic of, is it culture versus racism? Because the racism is always permanent. Like, well, we don't want to call out our own people because we don't want the white man to know. So that's always like a backdraft, because when you talk to everyday people, they're like, yeah, I support the police, and I don't want these hood rats and criminals.
We like holding one another accountable is what.
But they won't publicly, when it comes to, okay, come to a press conference and say, oh, no, I don't want to criticize my fellow. It's almost like a family member.
And people need to understand it's not criticism. It is fact.
We really lack. That's part of the reason why a lot of people have problems with me, Sean. You either love me, Sean, or you hate me, Sean. Accountability. If you say you're going to do a thing, if you're going to treat one person with respect, treat me with respect. If you're going to do, it's accountability. We push back on anything and when it comes to when we're thinking about how we treat one another, we lack wanting to be held accountable for our own action. That's why, when it comes out,
but you know what that is? That's a self-conscious issue.
Yeah,
it is. It's an inability to allow someone to point the finger at you and say that you're the problem, and for you to accept it and focus on correcting it.
You hit it right on the nose. Self-consciousness, social issues that we have to. I said this. You're going to probably see something I sent. I recorded it last night. It's called adult social emotional learning. Okay, we got to work on that ourselves. It is. You got the Goodwills and Norton's Healthcare getting ready to put that $100 million project down in the West End community. Okay, but you know what? They ain't talking about anything about changing the behavior and the social conditions. They think that it's like we're gonna put them in new apartments. We're gonna put them in a new building. We're gonna bring something.
Sometimes you can, though, Michon. Sometimes you can change the mentality, the social conditions by putting up things like that you would normally not find in that area. I mean, think about that for a second. This is something that the area has needed for a long time, right? They've needed it for a long time, and it's been said, why isn't this here? Why isn't that here? Well, if you build it, they will come. Maybe putting this up will, number one, help attract better quality businesses, restaurants, and others, which will change the face of the area immediately, and then potentially change the mentality of people. I mean, they say gentrification, and I get it,
really,
but
really,
I mean,
you really believe putting on makeup? Okay, let's use your analogy, what you just said.
Putting on makeup can turn a hoe into a housewife. I mean, it happens plenty of times, and then as she gets addressed as a housewife for enough,
you think dressing up that
she ends up playing the part because she lets go.
So you think dressing up, you believe in dressing up the hoe, okay, or the derelict, the pimp, and everything, the nonsense.
I believe that even working from home, I put on a suit and tie a lot of times. Why? Because it helps my mentality. It helps me as a life insurance agent to get my head in the game.
Think about what you think about what you said. Okay, think about what you said. You said I'm gonna go with what you said. I mean, I'm actually, it's kind of, I find it kind of interesting.
Go ahead.
Because I realized that before Michon was able to change his whole financial situation around, all the perpetrating I was trying to do, okay, and all the dressing up and everything, I realized that Michon, I'm just talking about Michon the individual, I realized I had to improve my credit score. I had to do, it was some social things that I had to do, okay, before I can actually go out there and get the society to feedback. They wouldn't go give me no loan, or they won't give me anything to improve it. So all the makeup and all the dressing up and all the things that I was perpetrating and everything wasn't going to change a damn thing until.
But guess what? If you go in there with a great credit score, looking like a bum, they're gonna be hard pressed to give you the quality service that you should get. Right up until they run your credit score. But what I'm saying is the appearance. That's what people see first and foremost. If somebody's driving up Broadway and they get lost in the West End, the appearance is what they see first and foremost.
Yeah, I think there's some merit to both of what you're saying, because a lot of times the external appearance mirrors what the internal character is going on. So, but Michon's also right,
Okay, you're my father in, because
we about to bring him in here in a second. What were you saying, Peter?
Yeah, unless you change the spiritual and mental conditions of a person, the external is gonna just be off. So it's a combination of. I tell people humans are triune beings. We have a spirit, mind, and body, and if those are in conjunction in a positive way, you're going to have positive results. But if the spirit or the mind is messed up, the body follows. But you can, by improving the external too, you can. Just think about it. If you're going to a decent restaurant, you got to dress up. And what Joe was saying, even that is a good thing. So if the standards in the community goes up, people tend to rise to those standards. Right now, there's no really.
And those that don't like those standards will typically find their way out. And those standards could very well, and in a lot of cases, is financial standards as well. Because you put something like that there, well, then apartment buildings come up, and now you got more luxury or higher end apartments being built in the area, which not everybody can afford. Therefore, some of the riffraff moves out. That's not to say that people who can't afford things are riffraff. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that there's some knuckleheads and whatnot. It starts to look too bougie for them. So they're like, oh, I got to go somewhere else and get back in my element. You know what I mean? So then they move out. So I think
And you
that's
know what's
possible.
you know what's interesting? Somehow I was the other day just on YouTube and some Jerry Springer shows came up. So I went on a run just watching them. And what was very interesting, and this comes to the man up thing, so many of these men, first they were cheating on their girlfriends or spouse typically, and they weren't working. They had all these women that were working, paying the bills, and these guys were playing video games, and these women still love them because Jerry would say, well, why are you hanging around? Basically said, why are you hanging around with this loser? He cheated on you. He doesn't have a job, but I love him. So that's a very dysfunctional situation that women would accept. And that's a cultural thing too.
I mean, maybe it's just because women are naturally nurturing. Therefore,
well, maybe so. But could you see your grandparents' generation, the grandfathers putting up with their daughter dating a loser like that without a job? No.
Back in the day, I feel like grandparents they would cut that off themselves. They would move the kid away. They would do all type of things. But I tell you what, as we jump and move into the next segment here, we're gonna jump to commercial real quick, and we're gonna bring back. We got a guest, Brother Charles Daniels. You guys get to see how the Uncle Meshorn was, the spawning of such. Well, you're not gonna see how, but you will see the man who helped bring him to the table there, right? With that being said, we'll be right back, folks. We'll be talking about, have ADOS men failed to take care of their women and children, right here on the next segment here on the Truth Be Told show. Folks, we'll be right back.
Thank you, Truth Be Told, for allowing God's Lives Matter to be a sponsor. Wearable Products, as the purple t-shirt, is bearing witness every life created by God has infinite value. Visit God'sLivesMatter.com.
Folks, check out HealthDaddyWow.net. 100% plant-based herbs and supplements. Whether you're in person or online, use the word tipping for 10% off. Remember, feel better, look great, HealthDaddyWow.net. Remember, HealthDaddyWow.net.
BB Trading Company, home of soap, sticks, and Saya Baba products. Over 400 locations at a store near you. Cincinnati, Ohio, Louisville and Lexington, Kentucky, Southern Indiana, or find yours online at SayaBaba.com. Again, that's SayaBaba.com. A BB Trading Company, where you can find fragrances to incite your senses.
The History Untold 400 project is unlike any in America. This project does more than pay lip service to the 400 years since the first enslaved Africans were brought to our American shores. This project seeks to show the monumental accomplishments the descendants of American slaves have contributed to this great nation of ours. The History Untold 400 project seeks to promote a lifestyle of exclusivity for all foundational families of America. History Untold 400 project is the only movement that seeks to change the conversation and present a space that promotes an exclusive conversation for all American foundational families. And I believe in the power of the History Untold 400 project and the vision they have for all Americans.
Folks, we are back. It is the Truth Be Told show. And I tell you what, we got a special guest here, Brother Charles Daniels. If anybody has the actual show on in the background somewhere else, then go ahead and mute that because we're getting that feedback. But hey, we're talking, have ADOS men failed to take care of their women and children? So as we talk about the past, which creates the present, which is partly responsible for some people's future, then we pose that question. Brother Charles Daniels, how you doing there, sir? Welcome to the Truth Be Told show.
Hey, great. I'm honored to have the opportunity to be with you. And of course, I've been listening.
Absolutely.
God lives matter. The big question here is, do your life matter? And are you doing anything to make the change for yourself? Because nobody can change it but you. How you see yourself and what you believe of yourself is the thing that either going to make you climb or to keep you below. You must want to make the change. You must want to see yourself different. You must begin to believe that you are great. We were told by our Creator that I did not give you a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. Now we hear those words and we go to church and those words are said to us. But my thing is, do you believe in the words? Do you believe in them well enough to go out and do something for yourself to make you into the you that you desire to be? Once you can begin to find yourself, you begin to start helping others do the same. The solution is within you. Do you love yourself enough to want to do something different? And if so, what are you doing? We have to unlearn to relearn. Most of us was taught to go to work. I was a slave forever and going to work for others. And I spent over 40, 50 some odd years doing that. But there was a greatness within me that I should have released, but I didn't. Because I was taught to go to work. Now you have to unlearn to relearn, and whatever that greatness is within you have to be released. And you can become one with the most important person to you, yourself. And when you can love yourself, now you can begin to show love to others.
Hey, Dad, it's, when I hear you speak and talk about this now, and I got to refer to Mother when she hear you speak now, and she listened to the shows and everything. She says, I don't know that man. Okay, I don't know who he is. Okay. Because that's why I thought about when I thought about you being here. Did our older generation mislead us or did not show us a good example of taking care? This segment is about loving our women or loving our mothers and taking care of our children. And speak to that, because you just said something. You said in 40-something years ago, you was just working. You didn't know. So that means that our mothers and our children was lacking then. How do you feel about that today when you see the problems that we have today? Are we in the condition that we are today because of what we didn't do prior?
I would say yes. You can only show what you have and what you came up with. Yep. And you have to be honest to yourself and say, yes, I was lost. But the song says, but I was found, was blind, but now I see. And once you can see, what are you doing to show that change? Yes, my relationship earlier was bad because I was bad. Sure. I entered that situation based upon what I was taught. And if I was taught wrong, then that's exactly what I was going to show. And that's exactly what I did show. But once you change and see the reality and begin to feel your greatness, feel your uniqueness, and begin to share that with others, now you begin to grow. And now you can help others do the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Hey,
that's
they
great.
had a lot of people like Joe and Peter. They don't know how much I done changed. You could you if you they wouldn't believe who I was when I was growing up in your house and who I am today and everything. Hey, Joe, I hear Joe talks about, when he was younger and going through the things, and and Peter, he shared stories about where he came from. You're right. Our beginnings don't have to be our future and everything, but we do have to accept some responsibility and make those change. You can do all those external things, okay, but you got to do some internal things. Joe, will you agree?
I mean, I would absolutely agree. And, but at the same time, accepting responsibility for your past. I have a brother who did some things in his past. And then he tried to run from it. And it's caught up with him. Right. But he's paying his dues, and he's doing it, like an amazing man. Right. But nonetheless, you have to realize you can't run from that. And you can piece by piece fix it or change some things. But even if you change yourself, you got to remember that stuff from the past is still there. And if you done wreck some things in your past, well, guess what? You're gonna have to focus on fixing it, even as the better person you are today.
And that's true. That's very true. I was no angel. Sean wasn't an angel either. Right? I mean, Sean was within himself. I mean, you can see the greatness there. However, it was hidden and held within himself because he didn't feel free to release it. And that might have been the household that he might have been in at that particular time that he didn't feel free enough to release, because the people in the household, myself included, was not free. The only person that can release us is us. We live this life as if we are in prison, yet we are the warden. And we have the key to release ourselves. But yet we want to look outside the bars and say that I'm in prison. Use the key that you have to free you. And then once that's done, you begin to feed you with the positiveness that you need to be successful in this life. And nothing at that particular time is going to take you back to things that were, because the only thing you're seeing now are the things that could be. And give life to those possibilities. Nothing is impossible for you. You just need to change your belief factors, change your mindset, as the fella said last week. Change your mindset. See the greatness in you. We were told that we were not broke and we should not be broke, and everything was to our benefit if we can call upon it and use it. So why not just go ahead and believe in that and step forward to make those things begin to happen for you, and that greatness that's in you shine. And now you can share that greatness with someone else.
So I take that you to the previous down that you referred to the last show. John, y'all did a job in talking about, living out of that shadow. We Peter had brought up the point, why do we constantly seem to have to go over the past, and why if talking about these things is actually good and healthy for us. And I think now, remember you told me that when I turned 50 and I said that I was a man, and then you told me how granddaddy wasn't a man, and then you said you were still considered a boy, and you said we're only 50 years out. I think that's what we act like. I believe that we are that new generation of men learning how to know how it is to be an American. Remember that, what you told me?
Okay, you coming in sort of broken up, But, you know, Dad was great in his own way. And I grew knowing that way. What I saw is what I followed. But now, in my beliefs in regards to what I was doing, I had to take credit for the fact that I was wrong. And I didn't have to allow that to become a part of me, but I did.
Right.
You know, but once you begin to learn the difference and know that your behavior is not proper, yes, you have to live with it, but at the same token, you have to forgive the most important person, yourself. And then once that's done, the freedom that you seek and the goals that you desire will never be the same.
There you go.
So when you guys say that, you know, talking about the past, then the past contributing to the future. So do you guys think that previous generations or do, you know, does anybody believe that previous generations of fatherless homes contributed to today's problems? I mean, is that kind of a no-brainer, obvious type of thing?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think once you say it out loud, you know, I mean, we talk about this stuff before the show, and then once you say it out loud, you're like, hold on, that's a no-brainer. Duh, fatherless homes contributed to today's problems, you know, and we talk about, you know, even in the ADOS community, fornication being so prevalent in our community. You know, Brother Daniels, can you look in your past to anywhere and see the generations way back when, what they were doing then, and how that could have potentially contributed to today's issues that we have?
We have to see ourselves individually and not as a group. I mean, the things that I've done, I can't blame my dad. Those were my decisions. I knew that they were wrong and should not be done, but I did them anyway. So I had to suffer that and deal with that. And by the reality of the things that resulted from that, I messed up a lot of people's lives based upon my own. You know, so can I change? Yes. Do I want to change? Yes. I had to change because, as I said earlier, God's lives matter. That means your life must matter. I don't believe our Creator is separate from us because we were told that I placed in you the essence of me. And if we see the reality of that and believe that that greatness and that love is within us, then that would defeat everything else that we learned outside of us. We can't pull those things that we learned humanly and allow them to take over the things that were taught within us spiritually. And we must go back to the reality of that spiritual upbringing because everything that we needed was told to us. If it said that I did not give you a spirit of fear, but of love and power and a sound mind. Now, if I love myself and I believe that anything is possible for me, then I should have a very calm, smooth, open mind about positiveness in life.
Gotcha.
That's a great point.
You just said something that I don't think I hear enough of people saying. You said we cannot judge the group. We got to evaluate self. That was interesting what you just said there because we always want to run to the group and really self evaluation and self responsibility. And then when you get around other people who are like minds, then you develop the group. But it's like the four of us on this line here. We all individually got here individually. We all didn't come here together. We got individually and everything. So I kind of like what you just said, Dad, about.
But you know, that's true. But it's very, you know, when we talk about the group. We don't talk about the individual. If we're going to start talking about people, the person to talk about is yourself. And clean yourself, and others will begin to start doing the same thing. But it's easy to talk about what the group does.
Yep.
But what do you do? And once you can start looking back at you and opening that out and doing something to clean up that, now you can say how wrong I've been and start doing those things that are needed for you to grow and for you to become the man or the woman that you desire to be. I mean, we can be whatever we want to be and have whatever we desire to have, but we're going to have to free ourselves from things that were and begin to focus on what we desire for our new moment, our new history, our new beginnings. Unlearn to learn.
Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
what you're talking about, without that spiritual and mental awakening, you know, you're easily tied into external things, family, friends, peers. And you're right. If someone does not believe that they're created in the image and likeness of the Creator, that they have infinite power, that if you believe that, how could you ever have a dull moment when you think you're the center of the cosmos? You have the ability to have dominion over the earth. I mean, that's a powerful. If you identify like that, that's one reason I'm harping on. Don't look at your skin color, your ethnicity. Those are external things. But if we look at our spiritual identity from our Creator, man, that's exciting to me. That keeps me juiced up every day.
Very true.
So, you know, when we look at this and we think about all of these things, you know, we talk about the ADOS community, why fornication is so prevalent in our community, the need for social emotional training, the fatherless homes contributing to today's problem. You know, the question is, have we matured enough? Are we ready for any of this stuff as a people? Because when you start to really think about the fact that it's been 150 years since freedom, I mean, that's not that long. I mean, just, you know, divide that in two. You know, that's 75 years. You know, we got parents and elders right now that are halfway there ago.
Yeah, but Joe, if it was on a positive trend, you could say, yeah, you know, we're in a growth process. As I've said, all the data is that, you know, it's going down. It's on a downward trend. So, you know, as I mentioned on the last show, in the 1900s up until 1920, there was more intact married couples in the Central American slave community than in the larger community. So it was a model community. And since then, it's been going down, down, down. So the model, the trend is really not good. So if another 1,000 years on that downward trend is not going to help. But like Charles said, unless that, you know, individuals and the culture says, whoa, wait a minute, you know, let's change that, time is not going to matter. Because if it was on a positive trend and say, yeah, you know, 150 years was horrible, 100 years was horrible, 50 years was horrible, but guess what? We're getting better. Then time would help. But the trend is a downward trend. There's more and more children born out of wedlock. And this is for all of America, but especially for the ADOS community. As we said, when 74% of children are born out of wedlock, and those numbers are going down. So time is not going to help without some intervention.
You know, Peter, I've said this to a couple of people. I said, we need something drastically. Time is not good. Time is not working in our favor right now. Okay. Yeah. We need something it's got to we need that drastic paradigm shift immediately. I mean, it needs to be like a bang, okay, like a big bang, okay, that calls us to turn around. It's like, you know, when I was looking at that show, Who We Are, and I thought, Joe, y'all would have caught it. It said the tipping point. It actually called. It said y'all showed. It said the tipping point, and it showed the ball going up, and it said what has happened is that every time we get that ball up as a culture of people, it seems like and they didn't use these words, but I'm using the dominant European culture, the people who are in control, stop us from us going over that point. But now we gotten to a point now that we're not even trying to get to the tipping point anymore. Okay. It was a time we were striving to get to the tipping point, and then we wanted to go over on the other side. Now it looked like we just keeping that thing going down, as you were saying, Peter. It's just going down. And my question is,
but go ahead and ask that. Go ahead, ask the question.
I just want to say, we're going to have that dramatic turning point that we get back to getting that tipping point that we, and when it goes down, it's on the other side. That means we actually have success. Right now, the ball is going up and coming back down, going up and coming back down.
Yeah, and the tipping point for the family in any civilization is 40%. So America's 40%. At 41% now. So we've negatively reached that tipping point that the other 72 world civilizations from the beginning of time, when they got the family breakdown, immorality, they're all toast. They're gone. So will we turn around? We've crossed the 40% tipping point. We're at 41%. You know, unless we take the advice of what Charles is telling us, I don't think so. Now, if we take his advice as individuals, as culture, yeah, because like all of us, I know all four of us, we're on some really bad paths in our life and bad trajectory, and we changed it around. And we're not perfect, but we certainly turned it around. But if we don't have that intervention, right? You know, the idea.
One of the things that Uncle Michon just said was, you know, we looked as if we were going the right way, and then we wanted to take a turn. I don't think anybody wanted to take a turn. It was a forced situation, and it was done strategically. I mean, you know, and so I don't like to harp on that, because we all know what was done. We know, you know, like you talk about a lot, Michon, Uncle Michon, in military exercises. What do you do when you're going to infiltrate an area? You cut the head off, right? So that was done. Right. It was done strategically. It was done purposefully. Heads were cut off, meaning the men were taken out of the community. The men were you know, drugs dropped in the community to either sell it or use it, and both happened. And with that being said, that, I believe, is where the trajectory began to go the other way, and we begin to spiral down, because now when you're in that low mindset, then you can be infiltrated in many ways, and that's what's happened. Music infiltration, right? TV infiltration. You know, so when you can keep a people dumbed down in a low mindset, they won't know who they are. They won't realize who they are and the power that they have.
They won't know who's doing it to them, or won't accept who's doing it to them.
Won't even exactly.
Won't even recognize.
They will continue to take that genetically modified weed that ain't got no seeds in it no more, and smoke it up. You know, not even realizing, man, this man got no seeds no more. What happened? Oh yeah, somebody figured out a way to give you some stuff sprinkled with a couple more dumb factors in it. You know what I mean?
That's true. You know, in order to begin to start showing life for what it is, we have to stop giving credit to making our lives based upon movies.
Yeah.
And we still do that. Right. I mean, we don't see them as movies, we see them as realities. And then videos. We begin to become indoctrinated to that and think that
celebrity.
I listen to kids today, they're same as we were. They're believing in all of that, and they're growing with their philosophies in their mind. Now, if we're going to change something, we need to start changing that. No, that's just a toy. Right? That's not reality. And we're going to have to start teaching that to them. And when they start seeing those things over and being indulged in those type of things, their mindsets are being changed. And we need to work on changing mindsets so that they can see their greatness and believe enough in themselves to know that nothing is impossible, and they can go out and seek those things that are within them to become.
I got an idea. Let's set up a task force in our community, right, in the melanated community, that goes around and knocks on all doors in the hood. And we'll start there, right? We'll start there. We're gonna work our way up, but we're gonna start in the hood. Goes around, knocks on doors, and as soon as people open the door, you go in there and you blow up all the TVs. Right? You blow up all the TVs in the house so that we can start there with, you know, the indoctrination. We can start there and getting rid of some of the indoctrination. That would be a big part of it. Is if we got rid of all the TVs. I think that should be a hood mandate.
That's a great idea. How about this, Joe? How about this, Joe? You know, Reverend Lewis Coleman and others have done gun buybacks where they go door to door and buy guns. How about we have a TV buyback? You know, we'll buy every TV, because what's more dangerous when you think about it? A gun is very bad if a bad person uses it, but what about a TV that, as Charles said, is polluting people every day? You know,
polluting a good person.
Well, destroying their spirit and their mind, which is more
at the same time.
And we know the spirit is eternal. So what's more important, the body that lasts 80, 100 years maybe, or the eternal spirit? And Charles will know this. One scripture says, beware of something that just can't kill your body, but can kill your soul. So this stuff is killing the soul of America, this junk and garbage. And it's affecting the spirit, because instead of connecting with the creator, as Charles said, people are connecting with the devil. And the devil's, no, you're no good. You ain't this. You know, all this negative self-esteem comes from the evil side. The positive comes from the creator. And the TV is a great vehicle to put all this garbage, you know. And so what's more dangerous, a physical gun that can kill your body, or a TV that can affect your spirit, soul, and body?
At the same
time.
I
want to, it's kind of funny, y'all talking about the television, and you're talking about the visual effect of how that does. You know, I want to tell you the reason why, you know, when I was doing the Focus show, I really loved Blog Talk Radio when I was doing it, because at the time there was no, you didn't see one another, you just heard one another. You was on the show and everything, but everybody could hear one another. And the whole reason why I got this this idea of putting my emblem up there, you can't serve two masters. It's hard to serve two masters. When coming on these shows, I used to get so caught up trying to look a certain way, make sure say things certain way, that I would get distracted about actually what I wanted to talk about. So I realized, you know, that's when it hit me. I can't serve both of these. Let me serve what I want people to hear what it is that I'm talking about. And that's what's wrong in our society today. Hollywood has turned into a visual thing, okay? Everybody want to be seen. Everybody want to be looked at. You know, the slap that went around the world and everything. Everybody is caught up in that dramatization, and everybody being looked. It's time we need to get people to start hearing the word, you know, listening to what people are saying and everything, that maybe that can change. That's what Dad, when I hear you talk, this is kind of funny for me. When I hear you talk, every time I hear you not the same dad that I remembered long that. It is true. It is true what they say. A person can be reborn and become a new creature. Okay. I know you know that about me, but Dad, it's really every time I tell you no lie, Dad, listening to you, okay, and hearing you speak, okay, and that time in July the 3rd, that day that we got to meet one another, and my initial was to meet you and talk to you about something else, but my mother told me, you know, and it was an emotional thing. She said, no, you got to hear your dad's side. And when I sat down with you, I am so glad that I had enough change in me to hear you, to hear the man and the father that you are today. I feel fortunate. I mean, I feel fortunate to have you still in my life, man. I just wanted to say that on the air and everything, just to say that I appreciate you more today than I did when I was younger.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
Thank you. And we all go to a point in life that we can be off track.
Yeah.
But the only person that can get us back on track is ourselves. I mean, we can let go, but to just let go with no action is impossible.
Right.
You got to live the life that you say, but we've been taught it's best to say what you want to say and not necessarily give strength or action to what's being said.
Right.
We had to give action to what's being said and become one with it. We had to become one with our created self. We must become one with our creator. We can't just put them on a shelf and act as if it never existed. And the human development in us made that happen. But now we're going to have to give strength to the spiritualness in us and begin to live what it said, because it said that all things are possible for us. And I'm thinking now, what is our superpowers? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness. And with those, I can't have nothing but self-control.
There you go. How about this, Joe? This BHAG, this big, hairy, audacious goal. We have a civilian military coup, and we take over our government. We control all of the TV and internet, and we have Charles and others on this positive message, and we have financial planning, and social relation intelligence. That's the only thing that plays on the TV and the internet, 24/7. So
now, who'd you say takes it over?
We take over, the four of us. We take over
the four of us. Oh,
U.S. government, and we just we take.
I thought you said the U.S. government takes over the TVs and stuff. I'm like,
no, it'll be a civilian military takeover, and we nationalize all, kind of like what they have in China. I mean, I'm being facetious, of course, but it is true. What goes in your mind comes out, and what you put in your mind dictates what comes out in the action. And no wonder why, I mean, with so much polluted culture that adults and young people are acting crazy. I mean, they're acting crazy, and then especially if they're in a home where it's a dysfunctional home, it's no wonder why people are just acting crazy. And but anyway, that's being facetious, but that might do it if we reprogram. We have to reprogram people.
Well, that's true, and that's the reality. And we have to also buy into the fact that things are the way that they used to be. Grandparents are much younger now.
Yeah.
And as a result, the upbringing of their mindset is not where ours was when we were coming up. So the fact lies, there's retraining and unlearning all around. And the focus, I feel, should be on actually pinpointing or just stating and giving power to the fact it's time to unlearn, to relearn. And what am I relearning? I'm relearning how to give power, not to the human knowledge, but to the spiritual knowledge that has been provided us, and give it the strength necessary to grow us into the individuals that we know that we should become, because that godliness is within each of us.
Yeah, good point. As Joe said, and John, if you can't make it in America, you ain't making it nowhere, because, I mean, there's nobody stopping you to actualize what you're talking about, Charles. Yeah, there's some imperfections in the culture, but nobody can, since we are each the center of the cosmos, nobody can stop us from magnifying that power.
Yeah,
now, we can talk ourselves out of it, like, well, yeah, but no, there's no but. It's either I can tap into that cosmic energy of our creator, or I choose not to, but it's there. And Chuck, you can be in prison and tap into it, right? You can be in solitary confinement. And there's many people that found their creator in jail and prison and have made very productive lives. So that shows that proof.
Now, as we wrap up, as the show comes to an end, I want to make sure that we get everybody's last words And I definitely want to start with our guest, Brother Daniels. I know you have something that you can drop on us real quick as we're ending the show. Go ahead and just speak to, a resolution. And I think you gave some of it as you first spoke, but just speak real quick to a resolution to some of this, any of this.
Well, I would say double-mindedness keep us unstable. We're going to have to become single focused in regards to what we do. If we want to be great, then we have to believe ourselves great. And we have to feed ourselves that mantra is going to give us that strength to step out and become what we want to become. There's nothing easy in this life. It's going to have to be worked on. It's going to have to be developed. And the only person that can do that would be you. If you say you want to do something, step out. Because as I said earlier, you were not given a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind.
Absolutely. Uncle Michon, what's your last words before we exit out?
Well, I want to thank my dad for coming on, and I think I would just own things what I always keep saying, the acronym for the word work. It's not until I tapped into my spiritual Michon that I was able to identify that I had to work on myself. And the things that I realized that I had to work on myself is that I had to understand that I had to work on gaining my wisdom, W. I had to work on getting my opportunities, O. I had to learn how to understand to respect myself. That helped me to respect my creator. And the other R to work is responsibility. I realized I had to be responsible to myself. Then I can also learn how to be responsible to my creator. And then the K is knowledge. Okay. Any person who's not willing to go to work, you're not willing to gain no knowledge. And if you're not willing to gain no knowledge, and you're not trying to improve yourself, you're not trying to work to gain that knowledge, to become uncomfortable, okay, with yourself, to improve yourself, then you don't deserve the fruits from the work that you need to get from life. And so the word work, wisdom, opportunity, respect, and knowledge is what I like.
And what you just dropped in the end there, getting uncomfortable, that is key, because we live in a culture, a society in general, where technology, by layman's definition, says to make things easier, right? Well, we've gone a little bit too far, I believe, and gotten into a too much of a comfortable state. And when you get too comfortable, then you miss things. A lot of times you can't be in a military exercise among a team executing an exercise and be too comfortable. You have to be uncomfortable, because when you're uncomfortable, you're aware. And to be honest with you, the sad part is that when we as a culture of people are uncomfortable, we are much more aware. We're at our best when we're uncomfortable, when our backs are pushed up against the wall. So, you know what? I'd love to see the day where we can get comfortable, but not yet. It's not time for it yet. We're not ready for that level of comfortability yet. It's only been 150 years. And when you really think about that, again, some of us got grandparents, 75, 80, 90 years old right now, that can remember their grandparents that were 75, 80, 90 years old, that like Michon has eloquently stated, of his father or grandfather saying, hey, when I was your age, I was still considered a boy. And that right there is powerful when you think about a 60-year-old, 70-year-old, 80-year-old man being called a boy. And it was only it was just 150 years ago. Dude, that's crazy. Go ahead. Better Days with Pete Hayes.
Great show. Appreciate you, Charles Daniels. Nice to see you again. First met you at that July 3rd and event we had in Frankfurt. I guess it was 5 years ago now, 2017. Yeah, I think his advice was very, very spot on. I think a couple books, Joe, Think and Grow Rich, right? If you think about prosperity or business, you'll grow rich. And then
Hey, Peter, you know what? If we blow up all the TVs and then throw in a few books in the house at the same time in the aftermath, that might be that might be the play.
Yeah,
That would be one of them.
we can play those audiobooks continuously. So in the radio, they can't go anywhere. The loudspeakers, like kind of in North Korea and China, they have stuff on loudspeakers in the neighborhood. You
Yes.
can't get away from it. But Think and Grow Rich. Another famous thing was you are what you eat, right? That was a famous thing. So that's external physical. But what came to me, of course we are what we think, right? So those things, what we focus on, and those of us who are business people, if we spend more time on our business, honing it versus, just spacing out or chilling out, you're more productive. But that's the same thing in everyday life. So great show, great wisdom. You know, um, maybe we need to start with small groups like this and just build from the four of us to get 12, 84, and imagine if we did this in every neighborhood, is get men and families together and say, yeah, hey, we're not blaming each other, but we all have issues. How can we help each other to work on our stuff so that we have a better future for ourselves and our children? Because like Mishorn said, if we don't have a nuclear bomb or a 9/11 on that trend, what happens when we get to 42, 45, 50%, when 40%, the experts say, is the tipping point? If we keep on going that way, we come back in 100, 500 years in America, like what happened to America? It's gone. Just like the Roman Empire, Babylonian, Assyrian, all of the 72 world civilizations, when they got to divorce and fornication and family breakdown, uh, boom, they're all gone. Think of where's the mighty Roman Empire?
Yeah.
The mighty Roman Empire did not destroy by external invasion. It destroyed from the moral rot from within it. And it was it controlled most of the world at one point. But there's other world
It was the America back then.
Yeah, it was the world civilization. You look at the Ottomans, the Byzantines. I mean, there's an interesting study that I think it was Campus Crusade for Christ, and the two professors looked at the 72 world civilizations from the beginning of history, and they all went decline when they got to that level of materialism, immorality,
Man.
and who could argue that America's not there?
Man.
Now I'm hopeful because I do believe, like Charles, if we have that awakening, but we need something pretty drastic to wake up, the sleeping. Rip Van Winkle slept a whole long time, so we got to do something to wake up that old boy.
Yeah. The masses have to be awakened, so that we don't vote idiots into office anymore. With that being said, folks, again, this has been another episode of the Truth Be Told show. I'm going to close out with the Lawless show, Talib Starks. We're going to let this play out. This is a little 6-minute video. It's called Talib Starks, The Uncivil War, Blacks versus Niggers. All right. And we're going to go ahead and play that. And it feels so weird to just say it so properly, right? That's the way it's written, but it's so weird to say it like that. It's amazing that there's people that are, well, Joe, I don't find it weird at all. What you talking about? But either or, those are those insane people, those mentally challenged racist people, right? With that being said, folks, those sick people, racist people are sick. All right, with that being said, folks, again, next week, brothers, glad to have you on, glad to have this great show with you and this wonderful Tuesday. We'll see you next week, same place, same time, again, right here on the Truth Be Told show. Peace.
The working man's a sucker, that's for damn sure. You said it.
What's up, everybody? This is Lawless Law. Welcome to the show. I am back with my first cartoon video in a month. I know y'all been waiting for me to drop something new for a minute. But like I said before, I was working with a special client named Talib Stark. You know, give him a hand, ladies and gentlemen. He reached out to me on Twitter after seeing my work when I did the song with Tommy Sotomayor in January. And he hit me up. He said he wanted help with his book, which I'm looking at right now. He even sent me a copy of it, which is a good read so far, called The Uncivil War, Blacks versus Niggas. And he wanted to have a concept of the book where we basically want to pretty much settle the situation that we have in the Black community with blacks and niggas. It's a sensitive topic amongst Black people, and where he would normally go to market this book, they didn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole because of the controversial title alone. So he came to me because apparently I'm that guy that could do the dirty work. I'm not scared to be controversial. So without further ado, here's the premiere of the commercial, his vision, my help in making that vision come to life. Black People's Court.
Meet Ray Ray, a shiftless, pants-sagging repeat offender. He's proud to be a thug and also sees no shame in having several government-dependent baby mamas. In addition to being a criminal, he aspires to be a rapper, which he sucks at. Ray Ray's lack of accountability routinely causes him to blame the white man for his problems. Basically, he's a typical nigga that's a drain on society. Meet Michael, a tax-paying, law-abiding black man. He's speaking on behalf of all blacks who are tired of nigger crime, nigger violence, and nigger dysfunction. Michael claims that niggers have also hijacked the image of blacks. He's suing for identity theft and wants niggers exiled from the black community.
All right, looking at this record, the defendant is being sued for identity fraud and wants to be secured of the actual damage that has been caused by the defendant. And excuse me, what are you doing in this courtroom?
Well, I thought I'm actually here to help support the niggers, because I actually want to make sure that the niggers, succeed because they make our jobs easier. They kill other niggers for us, which saves a lot of bullets and shit like that. And plus, they keep the image of black people down. So, hey, go niggers. Hey, you darky.
Right.
Anyway.
All right, defendant, state your claim.
Well, Your Honor, my nigga, the thing is...
All right. I heard enough. I'm sick of this. You niggas just keep terrorizing the black community with all your niggerish ways. You're robbing, you're stealing, selling drugs to your community, poisoning families and everything. Get locked up in jail. You're not even trying to do anything for yourself to remotely improve your situation. Instead, you choose purposely to create chaotic conditions, the worst conditions that the black community has ever experienced all over America. And quite frankly, your kind is a detriment to the improvement of all black people. And it's high time that we eliminate this problem. Therefore, I will sentence you and anyone like you to complete exile from the black community for the sake of the black community. Dismissed. Oh, nigga, what the fuck? Nigga, what the fuck you mean I gotta be exiled, nigga? Nigga, the hood's where I belong, nigga. I will have we supposed to be niggas, my nigga. What the fuck, nigga? That's bullshit, nigga. Fuck you, judge, nigga. You a fucking sellout. Fuck all y'all niggas in this motherfucker. Get off me, cop. What the fuck, nigga? This handcuffs hurt, nigga. This is Harvey Living. Was Judge Starks correct?
Hey,
What? It's the wrong mic, bro. This ain't TMZ. It's BBC, bro.
Was Judge Starks correct to exile Ray Ray and the entire nigger subculture?
To me, Judge Starks is pretty on point. You know, I figure if whites can separate themselves from rednecks, blacks should be able to separate themselves from niggas.
Okay, I understand that. And what about you? Hell no, we niggas ain't going nowhere. No other community is going to put up with our bullshit or make excuses for us. You know what I'm saying? We ain't finna lead a black community without a fight, my nigga.
Holy shit, niggas gotta
go.
go.
Oh my god, come on, God. Let's go. Now what?
So I appreciate the love, man. So how can I help you, man?
Well, you know what I'm saying? You know, I just came in here because, you know, I thought, you know, brother to brother, you know what I'm saying? Since we both black, you know, since we both got melanin in our motherfucking skin, you know what I'm saying? I was thinking, yo,
here it comes.
Can you hook a brother up? You know what I'm saying? You know, there's some certain item that I want, but you know, I ain't got no money right now.
Of course you don't.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I was just wondering, dog, can you hook a brother up, dog?
No.
Nigga, what the fuck? The fuck you mean, no, nigga?
If you're thinking about buying solar panels, don't. The U.S. government will literally buy them for you if...
All right, cue the music.
Cueing music.
Start the music.
Starting music.
And go.
It's the Truth Be Told show, where we place America first. Honoring those who America has forgotten. Listen in and unlearn to relearn. As we set the record straight. And now, your host of the Truth Be Told show, Mr. Just Ask Joe and Uncle Nishorn.